Well, if it isn't my friend you, my baby doll, focus on this. Bitcoin and Ethereum, maybe you've heard of them, they are in for a wild ride with our altcoins. Unpredictability will rise to new heights as new people come in, try to forecast the future, get it wrong, get on leverage, and sell the bottoms all over again. We are going to learn from the past because I want you to know what's possible. Microsoft, MSFT, did a 500x in 12 years, up only. Yes, and when I mean up only, Bitcoin didn't go up only, friends. Have a look at this. It was literally, look at this. It was literally up only. Have a look at this, 500x. Up only. Like this takes up only to a whole new level. Bitcoin is not up only. This is up only. This is literally, they banned the short button. You are not allowed to sell. Microsoft, this was the unicorn of unicorns, took over the world. Amazing to see that this was possible in stonks. If you are from the stock market world, welcome. Thank you very much. Please feel free, like, subscribe, press the bell button and all. We are here to learn together. So many lessons for you. So after Microsoft has this literal 20 years of up only, which I have by the arrow up here, unfortunately, look what comes next. It then spent 17 years going down only. Yes, it's painful, man. Markets are brutal. Markets are painful. This is why you must respect diversification. We are not in the business of trying to over-diversify, but you got to have some bullets sprinkled in places. Different trees, different paths. I promise you, you will regret it. We are lucky in crypto that everything is linked to Bitcoin. We're actually programmed to link to Bitcoin and Ethereum with most of the correlation, but eventually this will break. Eventually, you have to put on your big boy pants, your big girl skirt. You have to start doing things yourself, friends. You got to sit on your squeaky chair. You don't need to be tucked in anymore into bed. With diversification, you at least get the benefit of being wrong, but still being right. You don't have to go all in. With crypto, we're kind of concentrated. We're not really diversified at all. We are like opposite diversification here. But that's because we are growing at such sky heights. Diversifying is really hurting our upside. But eventually it will slow down. We already know this. Diminishing gains. So after spending 17 years to rinse out weekends, like that's a long time. Doesn't that scare you, man? 17 years. Then Microsoft finally breaks the high by a 5x. That's crazy. 17 years. So in crypto, I believe we will do better because why? We wash our hands way more frequently. This is what I want to show you in this chart, friends. I'm going to show you right now. You see, with markets, you see Microsoft here on the way up. These dips on the left-hand, see these dips going up? These dips were so shallow, you didn't rinse anybody out for a long time. 10 years plus, 12 years up. Only you don't rinse anybody out. The leverage did not get wiped. The weak hands did not get wiped. The non-believers, the people who are, betting with way more than they should. They're still in the game. And unfortunately, what happens is once we finally pop, they are dead weight. You carry them around for much longer. In an ideal world, if I was to start a chart here, in an ideal world, it's actually the Bitcoin chart, or Ethereum chart, or any altcoin chart. That's the actual ideal world because you go up, 80% down, get out. Okay, only the believers are left. All right, now let's continue. Up, down. 60%, go up. 80% again. Let's go back up. Yes, I know this is like making my heart shake right now just looking at this chart. But yes, this is exactly what you want because you completely clear everyone. They call it clearing the market. It's when we go down to these areas, you're like, there are literally no more non-believers left. If you are still holding after minus 80%, minus 90%, we know altcoins go minus 95, minus 98%. If you are still holding whatever it is you're holding, you earned it. All right, we've cleared the weak hands, and then we can continue higher. So never ever forget this lesson. When the internet stock bubble happened, it was enormous. It literally took over the world. This was 3 trillion market cap up here. This is the size of it. So this is the Nasdaq NDX, the Nasdaq index. This is huge, all right? And this was before the governments really learned how they could keep manipulating stonks. if you notice this reminds you of something, right? Maybe you've seen it before. It's called, of course, the Wall Street cheat sheet. What's funny is you can actually, on TradingView, you can make this transparent, friends, and you can see the overlay of it. Oh, whoop-de-doo. Have a look at that. Look at you over there. It's exactly the same chart. This was the stocks. This was huge. This puts us to shame. I don't think we'll see this for a very, very long time. This is almost once in a generation. This was the birth of the digital age, the birth of the internet. Of course, crypto is great. Yes, and we do see this, but the size of this was so big because it lasted for a long amount of time. That's why. This bear market, we went in, we peaked at 2000. It took, like, we're still, oh my God, we're still 7 years later. We are still down, friends, 7 years later, you know, because stocks move so much slower. The pricing that they gave some of these stocks at the top was so insane, you wouldn't even believe it. Like, I think Cisco, if Cisco's rating continued up here, it was bigger than like China's GDP. This is how ridiculous they got. Cisco, I think, was trading at like 1,000 PE, something ridiculous. It was like 1,000 years of income. You can't you can't even process this. And yes, they never returned to the all-time high. So this is possible in stocks, but now the government manipulates it. So even though we have these success stories, we have Microsoft to look back on. We can see, okay, you know, you had this amazing nuclear run-up. Eventually, the party does stop. Eventually, there's a rinsing. You just don't know when. Aren't we glad we have another industry here? We have the crypto industry to participate in something while there's a potential rinsing going on. This is why crypto, because it's volatile, it's fantastic because it keeps rinsing weak hands for us. But eventually, it won't continue to save us because the volatility will get less and you're just going to see network effects decay and then get birthed somewhere else, and we're going to be left in between holding the bag. But we're not going to let that happen because we're always going to be on top of the game. And the last thing I want to show you, friends, is IBM. Internet Business Machine. IBM was one of the world leading tech companies. IBM was number one. It was the computer. It was the chip, the processor. But look what happened to it. After its run up, and its returns even weren't that good. I mean, from 1986 up to the tech bubble, you did a 4x, which is a 300%, which I know we're laughing at that. Well, JPEGs do more than that, man. And how long you waited for this? You waited 14 years for a 4x? Gosh, the dividends don't even make up for that. This is where it gets a bit more disgusting because IBM, once they peaked and they reached nuclear heights, they were never able to go parabolic again. They just got too big. They started off big. They got even bigger, gargantuan size, but they were never able to do it. From the tech bubble, the top around the year 2000, today, 25%. Oh my God. Friends, look at it. Look at this. Do you see this? These are the days. 8,917 days. Wow. Wow. You waited 9,000 days. You're still up 25%. Oh, this is disgusting. And, you know, sometimes you have to be careful because a lot of these stocks, they will have very poopy returns, but there's actually it's not the real truth. You see here, friends, see dividend yield? This is IBM. IBM pays 5% dividend yield. They can't grow anymore. I mean, look at their market cap. It's 119 billion. Think about this. They were 119 billion like 20 years ago. That's how big that was back then. That's like being $1 trillion today. That's like, it's just too big, right? Now, the interesting part is these dividends, when you calculate them, they're meant to be reinvested and they're meant to help you compound. So the real price, I'm being a bit intellectually dishonest. So the real price is much higher because you're getting 5% per year. Isn't that fantastic, right? So think about that. Think about this in terms of what happened to the future of Ethereum with this staking yield over the years, you know? So when we look back in the future, we might say that Bitcoin and Ethereum's returns diminished. However, if you were a Bitcoin miner, if you were an Ethereum staker and you kept reinvesting your profits, over the next 10 years, you have a decent return. I mean, how good is it? I mean, who knows really? Like, if I was to just show you the chart here, back in 2000, if you're getting like a 5% yield, of course it changes over time. So the real price should be $200, not $100. just to show you the real fair value, because you've been earning 5% every year and it's compounding. It's actually really high. So when you think about it, the real price is actually like up here. Okay, so, but this is just, it's something to think about. How these charts can behave, what they can do, the income you get. But look at this. Are you buying Bitcoin Ethereum for their crappy little yield every year? No, you're not. We're here for the big price bump. But just showing you, IBM, just like Microsoft, was a market leader. But the difference is Microsoft somehow was able to innovate after 15 to 20 years. They were able to, I think, get into the cloud services. They started just really getting their groove. But man, you have to be a long believer, baby dolls. Far out, man. How long do you want to believe in this? 17 years? It took them like 17 years to pick it up. And of course, really, that's not the real truth. The truth is it just went up too much too fast. Right? It went up too much too fast without any retracements. You saw this, right? 12 to 15 years, you went up without... You know, the biggest retracement, I'm not joking, was 29%. It was like right there. I'm not kidding. 29%. And then after that, the biggest drops were like 13%. Can you believe it? Imagine you haven't dropped more than 13% in like 8 years. That's a type of weak hands you get in. When things keep going up and they don't let weak hands out, the retailers, instead of selling, they keep buying more and more. You basically just compound the negative side effects. You push it out to later into the future. So IBM was once a powerful leader. It's still a leader, but look how much it's stalled. You know, when I'm looking at this, I can't help but think sometimes, really, I can't help but think, is this maybe what happens to Bitcoin? Because Bitcoin rose to the powerful heights. Maybe it doesn't innovate as much. You see, you can't look at this and say IBM's a failure because, hey, you went up and to the right, but you ain't the sickest new kid on the block. Me and you, we're not talking about IBM. You're talking about Tesla. You know Amazon. You know Jeff Bezos is a bit of a cuck. You know all of these stuff and these memes. IBM's just not sexy anymore. IBM, like there's AI that's coming. Nvidia. You're not talking about like IBM. You're there and you're respected. You're a friend, but you're an old friend. You're a hermit. You live in the mountain. You got a great beard. And yes, you make your own carrots. You got your own little vegetable garden. Of course. We appreciate it. But look what's happening out here, out in the world. The world is moving faster and faster. So I won't call it a failure, but I mean, if our game is, okay, it's all a game, everything's a Ponzi, and we're here to allocate our capital, and we want to go to the fastest growing network effects, then Bitcoin's just too big. It is too big. Maybe it happens like this. Maybe it doesn't. Obviously, I hope it doesn't. I hope Bitcoin keeps rising because we all know we're so programmed to be correlated that, you know, if Bitcoin goes more parabolic, it overflows to the rest of our altcoins and Ethereum and everything else. So fingers crossed, we don't get a dark curse prophecy, but, you know, maybe we'll look into the future. That's why if you step into the unknown, you will get the rewards. Buying the market leader that everybody knows and loves and respects, you get the return that you deserve. Think about that. And of course, think about our friendship because it has no limits and it's never going to end. Thank you very much, friends. Like, subscribe, press the bell button, or tell mum and dad, please, IBM, they were the cool kids back then. They ain't the cool kids anymore. Catch you in the next one.